is a paid program. Views expressed on this program are not necessarily those of CBS Radio, its sponsors, or affiliates.
Good morning. Welcome to the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show. I'm your host, Harvey Freed. We've got an excellent panel this morning. I got Alex Nafusi across the way.
Hey, buddy, what's happening, man?
Hey, there he is. Harry Glantz to my right.
Morning, everybody.
I miss you guys,
right.
man. I was off for a couple weeks, and I miss you dudes.
Well, we brought in John Kolb, also from our office. A lot of
knowledge
there. Hey, John.
He's auditioning.
Alex. Bigger and better.
Alex,
Bigger
he's
and better.
auditioning for your part right now because you've been gone.
He's the only guy that I will openly disclose is smarter than me in the mortgage business.
James Lutz gunning for his
I don't
job
know.
last week.
You mean contemporary?
He's
You mean a contemporary of yours?
He's smarter than me in the mortgage business. I have no problem
Hey,
with
you
that.
guys, how
I'm a
about
better
this?
sales guy, but he's
Wonderful
definitely
real
smarter than me.
When you guys are done jibber jabbing about that, we've got Randy Branton from Real Team out in Shelby. What a great real estate office. Hey, how you doing?
Good morning.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
All right, you and John, of course, have a good relationship, and you guys are moving in the right direction, and it's a pleasure to have you on the show. We're going to talk 1 hour's worth of mortgages and real estate. We have tons to share with you. If you're a first-time home buyer out there, we have the excellent team to set you up with. Between John and Randy, they are going to totally hook you up. This is a show you want to call if you want to save money, learn about the process, and get educated about how to
I have to
purchase
say
a
one
home.
thing real quick, just before we.
You got a
jump
lot
into
to
this.
talk about, I hope.
I do, yes, because I was on for a week and off for a week, and I got a lot of stuff built up. By the way, Brady Hoke has the same record as John Harbaugh after 4 seasons.
Oh, you froze that. That's like 2 weeks old already.
He's
bro.
got to start that. A Spartan walks in, he sits down, and he throws that.
Jim.
Oh, is it Jim?
Jim. John's
Really? Because I'm a huge Bun fan. Because I care.
Yeah, well, I thought this was a mortgage show.
All right, sorry.
Sparty Alex walked in there
That's
and
all
had
right.
to throw with it.
I'm all good with
Sorry,
that, but I
man.
don't think anybody wants to hear about that. They hear enough of that with Stoney and Mike Valeni, who's awesome at talking about
All those
Michigan
guys.
State and everything in general, by the way.
Hey, we're going to
Get
take
out
your
of my system,
calls.
sorry.
We definitely take your calls here about real estate. 248-539-9797. Always live here in the studio. Buying a home, Harry, is still your largest investment. So there's a lot going on there. Of course, there's a new budget. The government's trying to do some tax reform, and we don't know how specifically it's going to affect us. The bills haven't passed quite yet. They are talking about maybe the tax deduction being waived for loans over $500,000. Of course, that affects a lot of the new construction out there.
Well, you mean cap the deduction on mortgages at $500,000? It's at $1 million right now. They want to cap it down to $500,000. And basically, Harvey, in our area, and I don't know if anybody really knows what that means, 5 to 6% of the loans that are done in the state of Michigan are jumbo loans, which are over 424-100. So that means there's 95% of the people that won't be affected.
Yeah, that's good news.
So, well, that's good news. And, I was quoted in the paper yesterday saying, as a mortgage banker, I don't want to see that
beautiful.
deduction. I don't want to see that deduction to go away, period. I mean, and is that selfishly motivated? Partially. But, people have 2 homes, or people that have, like I said, 95% of the people are under 424-1. But what if you have a second home? You could have mortgage interest up to $1 million. I know that sounds like a lot of money. I just don't want to see any deduction go away. We have very few deductions now as it is. So I'd like to see it. I'd like to see it stay the same. And, there's other things in that bill, too. There's people that pay spousal support.
Not anymore.
What's that?
Not anymore.
I'm not referring to you, but
I didn't
it's
read the
okay.
whole bill, Harry.
I get it.
Tell me.
So, right now, somebody that pays, they get a deduction. And I'm not an attorney. I don't play one on the radio. Randy with
But
an
you
I.
love attorneys.
My other Randy with an I. She does, but
What's the thought? What's the thought process behind eliminating that deduction?
No, the
$500,000.
The thought
Makes no
process
sense to me.
behind this whole tax reform thing is that, obviously it's for the government to be able to save some money. They want to pass it on to the people that can afford to pay the tax and help people that can't afford to pay the tax.
Well-
So while that's all well and good and it's altruistic, if you take a look at the bill, if you've read it,
I haven't.
I don't know that's going to affect that many people.
Well, everyone's definitely looking for balance out there. It's tax reform, reduce the tax burden overall is what we're all looking for. Any way that it doesn't affect the housing market, we'd be pretty cool with.
Well, the jury's still out on it. Is it going to pass? Is it not going to pass? We're going to see it. Nothing's passed lately. Hopefully this isn't a make good for everything that hasn't passed. But that's a different show. I'm talking about the mortgage interest deduction. I like to keep it the same.
Yeah,
That's my
simple
vote.
enough. Hey,
my vote is keep it the same.
The motivation to buy a house is lots of different things. And, of course, the tax deduction would be one part of it. And there's no doubt as young people are out there making their next steps in life, graduating college, getting that first job, moving out of mom and dad's house, any benefit for home ownership. Just the fact that you don't have to listen to maybe your folks anymore make the rules. Definitely home ownership's a great thing. And we see so many families and young people getting into the market, Randy. You've had some great experiences I'm sure you want to share with us.
Yeah, actually, last night I was out with my cousin, and she bought her first home this past October. And she has no idea what her taxes will look like. She has no idea what the tax deduction will be or how much she's looking for being that first-time home buyer.
Yeah, I remember actually the first time I purchased the house, I think after the tax man said to me, hey, Harvey, you're getting some money back this year. I was like, what? How did that work? He's like, yeah, this home ownership stuff is really cool. And, of course, your property taxes, the closing cost on a purchase, and then the interest you pay on a mortgage is a deduction. So maybe a nice surprise for families. And I always use that extra little bit of money I got. And when I was, again, starting off with a new house, and it was a starter home, I use that money for upkeep in the house. And, John, as you know, so often that you'll buy a house, and some of our clients will buy a house, but there's some hidden costs involved in home ownership. So it's nice to get some money back later in the year.
Oh, yeah. I mean, at the end of the year, getting some money back is, the most important thing. It lets you do some of the projects around the house that you want to do your maintenance, your upkeep, and, just put some a little bit away for savings. You've got to
That's
have
the hope.
Yeah.
Not everybody does that.
Right. Well, then some people go out and buy some new shoes. I mean, like the guy to my right.
Oh, you're talking about him. I thought you were talking about
you
me.
have more shoes than I do.
Obviously, Randy's in that category, too.
We're going to talk about a stamped concrete and all that fancy backyard he has. We might not go there.
The backyard is finally finished. It was like 2 years ago with the bathroom. The backyard is finally finished now. Colby, when I heard you come on the show this week, I made some notes, and I think it's super cool. We have a great product where you can purchase a home and actually get money back to renovate the property.
Yep.
And it's an amazing product. And again, you don't get cash back. You don't get a check for $50,000, but you can renovate the property.
Yeah.
This is your specialty, man. You got to help me with this one, man.
No, I got you.
Thank you, buddy. I got you too, man.
We have two different products. We have an FHA 203K. We also have the Fannie Mae Home Style that allows you to actually escrow some money with a licensed and insured contractor. We typically like them to use a consultant to make sure that somebody's there as your advocate from start to finish for the loan. But it allows you to escrow the money and do the repairs on the home right away. I always tell the story of
renovations, not simple repairs. Renovations,
yeah. Correct, right. I always tell the story of when I bought my house 19 years ago. I had a 6-month checklist, and I just finished that 6-month checklist last year.
Wow.
You're the most anal guy I know, though, dude.
Right,
you're like the most calculated person.
Guys, everybody, and Randy knows this because it's her area of expertise. When you buy a home, it never stops. The costs never stop. Remember, you have to have the guy over today to blow out your sprinklers. Okay, you have to. If you don't do your own landscaping, you have to do landscaping.
We don't all have in-ground sprinklers here, right?
Your furnace is going to break.
Yeah. Condos.
Okay? Your roof,
love the condo.
Your furnace is going to break. You need a new roof. Things are going to happen around the house. So you're going to have that checklist. So that's what home ownership's all about. It's just not if you can make the payment. There's utilities, there's your cable bill, unless you get Netflix like you, Alex, where you don't have cable anymore.
Oh, no, I have cable still.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, for sure.
Hey, Randy,
the fireplace went out. The pilot light on the fireplace went out. So we had someone come over the other day.
There's so many additional costs to home ownership that when we sit down with people and we counsel and advise them, we don't just talk about their monthly payment, principal, interest, taxes, insurance. We talk about things that are going to come up, and can you budget to be a homeowner? And that's what it's all about.
We've said that for years. I always tell people, they say, how much house can I afford? Well, you have to tell them. That's the question you ask yourself. Don't ask me. I mean,
you don't want to be house poor.
No, absolutely not. And it's not like Harry. It's such a good point, man. Like it's not just the payment. I mean, if you buy a house for that's 4,000 square feet, my father Broski. I mean, when we were little kids. That house, it would cost $600 a month just to heat it in February.
Yeah, still the same. Still the same.
You got to think through everything.
Well, I like where we were headed towards. We talk about the renovation loans, and Randy, as you know, a lot of the homes that are still out there in the marketplace are maybe the ones that were picked over a little bit. So maybe they do have some deficiencies. Maybe they need some work. Maybe the families that walk in there, they're not quite in that move-in condition. But again, we offer these loans out there, and that's why I think sometimes you might have to reevaluate what your wish list is if you're still out there looking for a home and you just haven't been able to nail it.
Well, and there is no perfect home. You're going to always, anything you walk into, even if it's a brand new build, unless you're the one building it, you're going to want to make changes, whether it's cosmetically or otherwise. And that's what a lot of people don't seem to understand is they don't have that aha moment, if you will. They like 90% of it, but there's still things that they're going to want to change. That's how you make your home your home. It's not just a house at that point.
Yeah, maybe reevaluate reevaluate your wish list. You might have the location you want, but the house just doesn't cut it. All right, we have that renovation loan for you. When we come back, we'll continue discussing home ownership and why you should take a look at getting that approval letter first. 248-539-9797. Welcome back to the show, 946 if you're just joining us. It's the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show brought to you by Capital Mortgage Funding. Call us at Capital all week long, all weekend long. 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker. You're going to save a ton of money. Not only that, you're going to learn what the process is all about. We'll show you how to do it the right way at Capital Mortgage Funding. Go into your purchase transaction with a ton of knowledge. The knowledge gives you the confidence to make the right offer. And I'll tell you, we make more successful homeowners than most. Call
Why
Capital.
are you smiling over there, Ronnie?
Do you like that, Ronnie?
That's a great mood.
Call Ronnie.
Ronnie likes being in the studio.
That's right.
He's on Facebook Live right now.
You're
Look.
just so happy,
Hey
buddy.
guys, I want to throw this out there because it keeps popping up. And again, we just do a great, phenomenal job on mortgages all around. But one of the things I've always had my hand on, typically each month, I'll get land contract payoffs. And it's real sticky out there. I had a call this week that I wanted to bring up because anyone listening out there, again, if you have a situation where you're borderline, you're having trouble getting a mortgage, be sure to call Capital Mortgage for two reasons. We may confirm that you can't get a mortgage now, but more importantly, we're going to set you up so that you can get a mortgage here maybe next year, the year after that, because like any contract, there's terms. And I spoke to a gentleman this week, and he called me and he says, hey, I don't have to pay it off till July. Well, he was more of an FHA borrower. If I'm gonna improve his credit score and his ratios and get them all fixed up, he's an FHA borrower. Problem is, he has a land contract on a condominium that's not FHA approved.
That's a huge problem.
And I'm telling you, there's a lot of families out there that run into these things, and they don't have to. They just have to get more professional people. And that's why I urge you to call Capital Mortgage, 1-800-LOW-RATE.
Well, everything isn't about today. We
not.
try to set people up for success in the future. We'll work with you if you have some credit challenges. Alex Nafusi has this awesome credit software that he can actually get your over time now. If you owe money and you're not paying it, you can't get that off your, let's say this, you cannot get that off your credit record.
Right.
However, over time, with on-time payments and a plan, your credit score is going to go up anywhere from 10 to 40 points. Alex does that as well as everybody in our office. We do that on an ongoing basis. But the bottom line is we try to work with people over time and make them successful and advise people on making right decisions.
Well, there's certain things you can pay off or pay down, credit card wise. I mean, your debt ratio that has a huge impact on your credit score. And it's carrying over, a balance over 50% of the card limit. It's a problem. Even if you're making the payment on time, it's dinging at your scores.
Nationally, there's been a lot of talk about these credit bureaus. Obviously, there's problems out there, and there's mistakes.
You think so?
And not only is there problems, there's some mistakes out there too. So
Harry's
it's just,
shaking his head. We're in trouble.
It's upon you. No, he's okay with it. But there's problems because there's inaccurate information, and a lot of times you might have had a civil judgment you didn't pay off. You don't even know about it.
Wait, hold on. Or it's hacked.
Well,
that's a little bit different.
But listen to me. Everything, and when you come on to Equifax getting hacked, Target getting hacked, listen, you hear these things and you see these things, but then I'm more worried about the things that you don't hear and see. People are getting hacked every day. There's identity theft going on every single day.
I understand. But if you're getting hacked, how can you actually say that you're being accurate reporting information?
Well, there you go. What it's a good shout out to do is check out your credit. Again, you're allowed a free annual credit report. You can always call Capital Mortgage Funding if you're out there looking at buying a house and preparing yourself. We'll run you the real mortgage credit report.
It's your chance to cheer on your wings and check out the beautiful new Little Caesars Arena. Listen each weekday morning to Jamie and Stoney from 6 to 10. Tickets for all Detroit Red Wings home games are on sale now at DetroitRedWings.com. Courtesy of the Detroit Red Wings and your home for Detroit Red Wings hockey, 97.1 The Ticket.
Your homes for the NFL on Westwood One, CBS Sports Radio 1270 and 97.1 The Ticket.
Welcome back to the show, 917. It's the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show brought to you by Capital Mortgage Funding. That's right. That's who you call, 1-800-LOW-RATE. Get the best information. Get the knowledge you need to make the best decisions about home ownership. We'll set you up with these unbelievable real estate agents. Yeah, we know all the good ones, that's for sure, including Randy Brand here from Real Team out in Shelby. And if you want to call the show, 248-539-9797. Lots of mortgage and real estate talk all morning long. We'd like to hear from you.
Yeah, so Randy, I have to ask you this question because I do it to every realtor on the show. And it's not the first one. First question is, what's hot in your area? And tell me what's going on.
In the Shelby area?
Yeah, in your area of expertise. What's going on, what's hot, and what's not?
Well, now you just opened all sorts. In Shelby or in my area of expertise?
Your
it's
area
totally
of expertise.
different.
On Tinder, what's up?
Here, let me walk you through it. What is your area of expertise and what's hot in your area of expertise?
So I focus a lot on investment properties in downtown Detroit. I do a lot with investors down there, from flips, rehabs to tenant occupied, just switching from ownership to ownership. So I do a lot. I'm probably downtown 4 days a week.
And what's your price range?
Anywhere between $1,200, because there are some properties down there that
$1,200?
$1,200.
Okay.
All the way up to, we'll go as far as $40,000.
Nice.
Wow, you're doing a lot of those units now. You got to do a lot of them to keep busy, I'm sure.
I wrote 20 offers in the last 5 days.
Wow, that is
So
outstanding.
you have a lot of transactions going. You're seeing a lot of things going on. You're seeing a lot of new construction. We go downtown Detroit very often, see what's going on there. A lot of activity. And the age range that you're seeing that are buying these properties is what?
The investments?
Yes.
Middle-aged, 50s.
Really? Middle-aged.
Is that middle age?
I like it. I'm not old. I'm middle-aged.
So those folks, they're going in there with the intentions to rent them out. They're going to go in there and buy a house at the right price, build as many as, get as many of these as they can under their belt. They're buying them with cash, fixing them up. They're passing the city certs, and they're renting these properties out.
Instantly.
There's plenty of opportunity out there.
What, 90% occupancy or plus downtown right now? So, but Randy and I were just talking at over coffee this morning that some of these people are getting themselves in over their head. That guy bought a house and gutted it, and now he's $70,000 in and can't finish it, and so he's got to sell it, and that's what.
People really need to pay attention to that. Everyone always thinks like, I hate to pile on.
Right.
There's so many shows on TV now that are like the flippers or whatever. What I don't even know what the hell
The quick fix.
Yeah, whatever it is. And people you really need to pay attention. And like John, you and I were talking before, like there's so much that goes into it. You don't even know about how much it costs to buy a home, let alone flip a home.
But nowadays it's more of the instant gratification. So that's what a lot of people think is that, somebody's back in 15 years ago, they made money by putting a little bit of cash into a house that was basically done. And they think it's easy. And then they realize halfway through that, I got in too deep and now I don't know what to do. And
then they're out of money.
And then the house sits vacant even longer.
Oh, boy. It definitely works for some folks. We talk about a big responsibility out there, but plenty of opportunity on the other hand, too. And there's a new calculation. I actually wrote it down last night. A calculation they came up with recently was to divide the annual gross rent by the purchase price. And if you're netting 8% or more, you're doing pretty good on that rental property. And, of course, I just did one recently for a couple of guys that I know, and they bought a 2-unit. Sure enough, I did the calculation. They were 12.8%. Mm-hmm. So no doubt if you buy a 2-unit property or just a single family home, there's going to be families out there looking to rent them, and you can probably make a little bit of money, but buyer beware. Some of these, including the ones in Detroit, require city certs and stuff, right?
Correct. Yes.
Okay, so the city still has to go out there and make sure that the house is safe and inhabitable, and that way you can go ahead and rent it. You need to get some form of an acceptance from the city. That way you can go ahead and rent it, correct?
And you'd be surprised of what I walk into. So a lot of times I go out there without my investors because we have the rapport that I know what they're looking for. I had a few weeks ago, I went to a home to do a walkthrough, make sure it was up to what we were looking for. Yeah. And the woman who lived there, she was probably in her mid to late 40s. She had not only her daughter, but then 2 grandchildren. She worked. She had a tarp on her roof because the current landlord.
Which some people like.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, sure.
The
I
landlord
like to
just-
get snowed on while I'm inside.
Did you? So you're talking to her about this, and what's her response about the landlord not coming? Yeah,
Honestly, she was happy that she had a roof over her kids' heads, which is sad because it wasn't a roof; it was a tarp.
Great, thank you. Now I feel bad. After making that joke. Thanks, Brady.
So, I mean, I'm
got you.
hoping. I know again, and here you are. You have clients. You're taking them to homes, and they're following all the proper procedures. Yet there's still many homes across Southeast Michigan that are not up to snuff, and landlords are really taking advantage of these families.
Unfortunately,
Yeah.
There's another one. I just talked to a colleague of mine last night while I was driving from point A to point B, and he's got a same situation out in Oak Park. A woman has a home that isn't been kept up, and she just doesn't know what to do with it. And we're probably going to end up short selling it just so she can get out and get something better.
Yeah, that's a real bummer. And again, if you're out there in a bad situation, call Capital Mortgage Funding. I mean, we find out so often that families are spending outrageous amounts on rent and they could become homeowners. So that's the key, is just find out where you fit into home ownership. If you're currently been renting for a long time, again, you're paying someone else's mortgage, take a look. I mean, it doesn't cost you anything to give us a phone call. And again, you've got your credit situation. If your credit's decent, if it's not, we can help you fix that up. We can talk about the MISHDA program, where we can help you get set up to go ahead and get refunds so that you can purchase the house. So that, along with 3% down and minimum down purchases, there's so many opportunities out there. Be sure to give us a phone call if you're interested in any of them. Again, we have open lines all morning long, 248-539-9797. If you're out there purchasing a house, you definitely want to call Capital Mortgage, but more so refinance. Harry, as we're getting into the winter months here, a lot of families are typically going to spend a little bit more when it comes to the holidays on personal, and you find yourself going out a little bit more to the restaurants. Boy, just a little bit of patience, and if you call the right mortgage bank, you probably could consolidate your debt.
Well, consolidating debt, Harvey, we talk about toxic debt versus, there's toxic debt out there. Toxic debt is when you're paying 18% on a MasterCard or Visa or a store credit card, and you have the ability to go ahead and wipe the slate clean and then tear up those credit cards. That's what you need to do. Right now, rates are still very, very low. Rates are in the high 3s to low 4s on a 30-year fixed, and in the mid 3s on a 15-year fixed. Still at almost 45-year lows. And if you're not taking advantage of being able to wipe that slate clean and pay off your debt, or at least, how about this? Alex and I, our favorite program is take your 30 down to a 20
or
your 20 down to a 15-year fixed, and go ahead and pay that mortgage off faster. The object when you have a mortgage, the object is someday to pay it off.
It's to pay it off. That's what a loan is.
Right. You got to pay it off.
The goal is to pay it off.
And I think that's, it also depends on your cash flow too. But talking about cash flow expenditures, you've got to pay off that credit card debt. You got to, and then you have to tear up the credit cards. Do that now. Take advantage of the low rates right now, because they're not going down to zero.
I really like the 15-year, and John, who's with us today, he was my boss when I started at Capital 16 years ago, and he coached me very, very, very well. And you and I have done things, I think, the right way. I mean, I don't want to disclose too much information, but both our houses are pretty much paid for or close to paid for.
Well, we try to do the right thing, and we don't get over our heads.
Exactly.
We live within our means.
Yeah,
But John, that's the key. You just said it right there.
We live within our means.
You guys, listen, it's kind of in vogue to go out there and buy the biggest house and have the biggest loan you possibly have. I've never been a believer of that.
It would make me sick to my stomach every night.
What I've tried to do is coach people and say, listen, buy what you can afford. You have to lay your head down on your pillow every single night and understand that you can make that payment. You guys, I believe, in economic terms, you've done it the right way. You've been very frugal. You've budgeted. You've saved money. You don't live beyond your means, and you don't run up your credit card debt.
No, absolutely not.
I would venture to say that both you guys, and you guys do pretty well, you don't have one penny of credit card debt rolling over.
Not a bit.
Right. So,
No.
But a lot of people aren't in that circumstance. So right now, with the rates being at near historic lows, you could take advantage of it without being taken advantage of. There aren't a lot of high fees and costs to doing this.
Right.
And the key is, Harvey, you have to have good credit to do it.
I like you threw that out there, too, because living in Michigan, again, we don't even realize that we're one of the least expensive states to refinance your homes. There's no additional junk fees out there, no intangible tax and things like that. That music says we're up against a quick break. When we come back, all of your calls, 248-539-9797.
Hi, Harry Glantz and Dan Burke for Capital Mortgage Funding. We do loans everywhere. In Southfield, in Birmingham, in Royal Oak, in Grosse-Ile, in Detroit, in Canton, in Northville. No matter where you live, we want to do your mortgage too. That's Capital Mortgage Funding, 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker.
All righty, welcome back to the show, 9:17. If you're just joining us, it's Saturday, October 28th. We call this sort of our Halloween weekend show.
Love Halloween. Big Halloween costume party coming up on Tuesday at the office.
Oh, yeah, a lot of fun.
I
know
know it's our 25th and annual Halloween costume. And, we have bringing lunch. Everybody dresses up. We give away prizes. It's a lot of fun. We like dressing up.
Yeah, this weekend here, Michigan definitely sort of one of those Halloween states. I know people go to town with it, dressing up their house and stuff, and it's a lot of fun. Be safe out there, obviously. Check the candy when the kids come home. Do all those safe things and make it a great Halloween. Come and join the show, 248-539-9797. We always talk about mortgages and real estate, and of course the headlines back even a couple months ago that the sales were stuck in these 2-year lows. Oh, my Lord. Well, once you know that the last 4 to 5 years have been historically off the charts. I mean, so to keep up with the numbers from the previous 2 or 3 years is definitely going to be challenging. The National Association of Realtors, Lawrence Young, he always has his comments weekly, and he says it's still a pretty challenge out there due to the lack of inventory for even the first-time home buyers. We saw those great opportunities for investors and people that wanted to buy rental homes. And I don't know if you've worked with a few of those lately, Mario, but there's no doubt over the last 6 years, I mean, you're able to steal properties across Southeast Michigan. Now you're a landlord. So there are all those opportunities out there. I don't know if you've worked with some people looking to buy rental homes recently.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Definitely. We have them all over. There's opportunity. Again, like we keep talking about it, there's always opportunities. Investors now, I'm working with a few investors. They're looking for good deals and renovation, and put it back in the market. So that's definitely still available.
Yep, and we have those renovation loans at Capital Mortgage Funding. Be sure to call our office all weekend long at 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker. Again, find out how you can get rid of PMI on your mortgage. That's really key out there. Or if you have an FHA loan, maybe now qualify for a conventional loan. So many families went through those horrible times here when we had our recession in 2007, about 2010. And some families are still just getting over that hump. But we always want to extend a hand to tell you, you can buy a house. Look, if you had a bankruptcy or foreclosure in the past, it's very likely that you still qualify for a mortgage. Again, not if you had it yesterday, but there are guidelines and time restraints. But
there's nothing wrong with making a phone call. If you're unsure, just pick up the phone and call, email us, whatever you have to do. Just ask the question. If you don't ask the question, do I qualify? Can I get rid of PMI? Can I take cash out? What's my house worth? Everybody has, and Mara, this is the first question I ask every brand new person on the phone. What's my house worth? Well, everybody thinks their house is worth more than it really is. And we talk about property values. And, yesterday I had a situation come up in the office, and it comes up almost hourly. We did a loan for somebody last year, and they want to take cash out. But, we did the house last year at a price for $196,000.
Sports news all day, every day. This is 97.1 The Ticket.
We're brought to you by Beaumont Health System. Michigan football tonight right here on 97.1 The Ticket. Michigan home for the Little Brown Jug in the Battle of Minnesota. Game time is at 7:30 from the Big House. Meanwhile, 12 noon kickoff in East Lansing. It is Michigan State against Penn State. Both teams coming up heartbreaking losses a week ago. Say goodbye to the Pontiac Silverdome. The demolition begins on December 3rd for the former home of the Detroit Lions. Meanwhile, the Pistons winners last night at home over Milwaukee. Final score 105-96. Andre Drummond, 24 points. More impressive, 14 of 16 from the line. At the Ticket Update Desk, I'm Jeff Lesson. For more, 97.1theticket.com.
The thrill of victory, the agony of defeat, and everything in between. 97.1 The Ticket.
Well, welcome back to the show, 9:31 if you're just joining us. It's the Hardcore Mortgage Show brought to you by Capital Mortgage Funding. Call us all weekend long at 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker. That's 1-800-569-7283. This is different than anywhere else. You sit down with real professional mortgage bankers. We talk to you about home ownership A to Z. We know it all A to Z, and that way you can really get that confidence and knowledge behind you.
So, Harvey, last week we had Mike Tomczak from Paramount Appraisals call in. Got a lot of good calls with Mike calling in and talking about property values. I don't want to wreck the mojo on that. But this week, Harvey, could have been a first. We had 2 appraisals come in at above value.
Oh, good.
And I only had to rebut 3 this week. So the good news is it seems that, I'm going to say this, that the purchase prices, the values are catching up with the purchase prices. It's going to generally happen at this time of year because the sales that have been booked and closed from the summer, John Cole, are now being used as comps on sales right now, November and going forward, December and January. So you could see less problems, when I say problems from our standpoint, with values, okay? I don't want to wreck the mojo.
Somebody knock on some fake wood in
you're
this
gonna
office.
You're going to have value problems.
I'm just being optimistic. Well, we did, and John's here. We can talk about property values. We have a purchase in Hazel Park going on right now, and Hazel Park is really, really hot right now. Okay, property sold for about 109. Appraisal came in at 85, 86.
Yeah.
Okay, and things happen because it hasn't caught up. Nope. It hasn't caught up yet. People are buying homes, they're renovating them, they're selling them, they're doing a lot of great things, and then they want to flip them. Okay?
The problem with that whole flip market and buying things and fixing them up is that these people are going to have to overpay based upon the appraised value, and that's the only way to get a market to catch up a little bit quicker, right? Otherwise, you're going to just be stagnant with what the current sales are.
Well, I was talking with Randy about that. She might be working with some buyers, and just to keep everyone's eyes open about the fact, like Randy, it sort of segues into what John's talking about, is you might be working with a $250,000 buyer, but if they spend a little bit more, maybe if they do qualify and they spend more, then they don't have to worry about redoing the kitchen because this house has already been renovated. And again, sometimes the market won't catch up with you.
Yeah, but dude, here's the thing, okay? And I'm always open about the projects I do on my house. And Colby, you just did, I think your kitchen last year. So between my patio or Colb's kitchen, do you know how much money I'm going to recoup from doing my patio?
You're going to have to live there a long time.
Next to nothing.
But you're not doing it for that reason. But when you go and buy a new home, when there's a new buyer going into a market, Hazel Park, Ferndale, Royal Oak, and the house has been renovated, they love the house. Just because they want to pay $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 for the house, it doesn't mean it's going to appraise out. All I'm saying is right now, it seems that the market has settled down a little bit. To your point, Alex, you're saying, no, it hasn't. I would agree in certain areas, like on a project that John's doing, where somebody's walking into a house that, the market in Hazel Park, they've been flipping them and they've been doing them, so they're not going to catch up so quickly.
I know, okay, all right, hear me out for a second, okay. You guys remember the old, the Normandy Oaks Golf Club? The one at Delamere and Normandy and Royal Oak? Okay, so that went out of business. They closed.
Okay.
The sub did?
Yeah. Right by your house,
Really?
Yeah. They're putting up 70 homes, and the starting price is $440,000.
Okay, well, good. I hope they get it.
That's a desirable area.
Where are you going to find 70 people to buy a house for $440s before you put in your granite countertop and this and that?
Alex, we talk about all the time, Economics 101, supply and demand. You put them up.
I know.
You market them, and people are going to buy them.
It concerns me. I'm just telling you guys, it concerns me, the price of properties.
Okay, the reason why it concerns you is because we talked about it over the years. You think right now that we're at the high end of the market and you see a bubble.
I do.
We've talked about that. We've had great conversations about it. Is there a bubble? Isn't there a bubble? Bottom line is we're in the 6th year of an increasing market. Since January of 2012 through right now, you're going to find 6 full years. What's the market look like for 2018? I'm going to tell you right now, there's no shortage of buyers. There's shortage of good
homes,
quality homes on the market.
Why are you stealing my lines, man?
Right.
I'm
not stealing your lines.
Hey, let me throw this out there. 248-539-9797. We'd love to hear from you. If you're buying or selling a house, definitely give us a call. We've got open lines all morning long. You guys, buying a foreclosure also, I was going to ask Randy, are there a lot of them out there anymore? A couple of people had called me recently. Are you coming across a lot of foreclosure properties for sale even?
In the subdivisions, though, right?
In the subs, yeah.
Oh, okay.
There's not nearly as many as there were a few years ago, but they are still out there.
Okay.
It's quick. Over this past summer, if I met with a new client, they had to have a pre-approval letter before we even met, because if they liked a home, I was writing on it that night. Otherwise, it was gone.
Right. Yeah, it's
Literally
a one day.
Everything walked away.
Yeah, you got to be in a position to close within 30 to 45 days. Of course, the motivation of the seller could be a little bit different this time of year. We do come across, as we've talked about so recently on the show, is a lot of families buying new construction. And when you're buying new construction, you're not exactly sure, is the house going to be done in January or March or when this is going to work out. So a lot of times there's some hesitation on accepting an offer. But, we always want to tell the public out there, you can set up the terms. You could do a delayed closing on it. So there's a lot of things you can do to get your house sold. That way the family knows that they've got a contract already all set, ready to go. And then there's some flexibility on the time they're going to move out of the property and they're going to do the actual closing. Again, getting smarter people involved, great real estate agents and mortgage bankers involved to set up your timing, you're going to be very successful.
I don't care what time of year it is right now. It's a seller's market. And if it's a good quality home on the market right now, you better have that pre-approval letter, because it's going to go really quickly, because Alex Nafusi, quote,
yes,
shortage of great homes on the market right now, and they're going to go very quickly.
Yeah, I was just saying this. I forget who was on a few weeks ago, but there's not a shortage of houses on the market. There's a shortage of nice homes,
and you're going to find that throughout the winter.
You're going to pay for it.
You're going to find it, and if you see a nice one, you better have that approval letter in hand, because it's going to go. Because there will be, as much as we don't want to admit it, there will be multiple offers on it. I know.
I hate that.
No moving trucks in the driveway though, but there will be multiple offers on it, and you have to move quickly because it's going to go fast.
Randy, how many backup cash offers do you have right now?
That's a trick question.
That was funny because no one even laughed at that. That was seriously crickets. You guys had,
they taught her that in real estate school. So
for people out there, every transaction, every purchase I have right now, if it doesn't close on November 1st, we have a backup cash offer.
Yeah. Sure you do.
Sure.
You should have taken it, though.
Okay, yeah, exactly. Take it then, dude.
We always talk about the basics, sort of Mortgage 101 is getting that approval letter in hand. But, again, understand your debt-to-income ratio, understand what your credit looks like. And if you're self-employed, there's nothing wrong with being self-employed. I still am getting these calls. And, again, after doing this for several years.
There's a problem with not paying taxes.
There's a problem with, the problem becomes with being self-employed is if you write your income from $100,000 down in the $20,000 and $25,000 range. So at the end of the day, again, if you're self-employed, you're thinking about home ownership. If you're working with two borrowers that are self-employed, be sure to call Capital Mortgage Funding. Sit in front of some real professionals, and let's figure out how much of a mortgage you can qualify for. That way, when time comes and you're ready to move forward, you get your ducks in a row, and that's really key. Again, jumping back into refinances, John. Again, rates were trickling up there, and then we've had a nice little reduction. Maybe they trickled back down over the last couple of weeks. Still, mortgage rates at all-time lows. Two different kinds of refinances. You've got your rate and term refinancing, and you've got your cash-out refinancing. But again, we talked about it, how often that it could make sense for you to take a look at reducing that term.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, the most important thing when reducing that term is making sure that you're comfortable with that payment. 15, like Alex said, 15-year is my favorite program. That's where you see the break in the rate from the 20-year and the 30-year. Although the payment jumps up quite a bit. And I've got friends that have gone from 15 years back into 30s because they've got young kids. They got to reinvest into their schooling for down the road. And you just have to make sure. I mean, the rate difference isn't that great like it was back in the 80s, right? Where it doesn't make a huge difference. You can do a 30-year, pay extra when you can, and when you can't, save. So, you got to talk to somebody. You got to talk to your accountant. You got to talk to your mortgage professional. You got to talk to, your tax advisor. Everybody who you think, it's going to make a difference in what the best decision will make.
Well, if we could just urge families to even sit down and take a look at the numbers. At the end of the day, whether it's somewhere always between, it appears to be somewhere between $300 and $600 difference if you've had a 30-year mortgage and you're a couple of years into it and you're 28th, 27th year. And then you look at that 15-year and the mortgage person calls you back and the banker tells you, hey, look, you're about $400 more a month. I'll tell you, if you look at your budget per month, I know it's a lot of money for a lot of families, but you find yourself wasting money. And Alex, we used to talk about it often. You cut back on that cable, you stop hitting that coffee shop.
Look, it brings me up.
I mean, even again, I love folks getting down there to the new arenas and stuff. But again, just cutting back just a little bit, 1 or 2 days a month could end up saving you $300-400, and more or less, it saves you hundreds of thousands of dollars on your mortgage.
Well, start first by paying $300-400 on your current mortgage and see if you're comfortable with it.
It's a
see
great
if you
idea.
can make the cut, and if you can, then go to the 15-year and make it happen.
There you go. I like that idea right there. Again, start sending a few extra dollars towards principal. If you can handle it, then you give us a call at Capital 1-800-LOW-8, 248-569-7283. You're going to save a ton of money. When we come back, we'll talk about home purchases and a whole lot more.
Six weeks after Hurricane Maria devastated Puerto Rico, how is the island doing? You'll be surprised at what 60 Minutes.
Hi, Harry Glantz and Danberg for Capital Mortgage Funding. We do loans everywhere. In Southfield, in Birmingham, in Royal Oak, in Groseal, in Detroit, in Canton, in Northville. No matter where you live, we want to do your mortgage too. That's Capital Mortgage Funding, 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker.
This feels like definitely high school, college football. Feels like a football Sunday. By the way, the Lions are playing tomorrow night, if you didn't hear.
Going.
Awesome.
Yep.
Tomorrow night, Detroit bringing it home.
My wife's going to make her one and only appearance for the year.
Oh, down at Ford Field? Awesome.
Ford Field, we're going to go out.
Right.
We're going to take another couple.
All right.
Jay and Becky are going to go with us.
Sports back in
You know
Detroit.
Jay and Becky.
I know those folks. Yes, I do. Awesome. We'll have a great time.
We need a win.
You're going to wear the blue? I think it's a blue out. You wear
I
the
might even
Honolulu?
pull out my Lions stuff. Sure.
Pull it out. All
Why
right.
not?
248-539-9797. We take all your calls here on the Hardcore Mortgage Show. Again, we're brought to you by Capital Mortgage Funding. That's where you can find James Lutz, Harvey Fried, and Harry Glantz all week long, along with our fine staff. I'm telling you, folks, come and meet us. Sit down with us. You're going to love the experience. It's been 24 plus years that I've been with Capital, and I'll tell you, James, I know you've been with us just recently, and it's
I love it, guys. I absolutely love it. I wake up every day fortunate to have, and people don't understand. I thought about on the way here is it's the simple things from the owners of the company, all the other owners of the companies I work for. They're not there working hard, supporting you every day with their door open. These guys are.
This is not made up stuff.
That means a lot to a loan officer.
I like
all
that
I
a
got.
lot. Mario, you bring a lot of great information with us. Hey, let's roll off, Mario. We're gonna our appraiser that sometimes that we have on the show. Mike Tomczak's on the line right now, calling in from Troy. Mike, if you're there, there you go.
Uh-oh, brother. What did we say wrong today?
Hey, Mike. Sorry about that.
Gentlemen.
If I stepped on you, go ahead.
What's up, my man?
Gentlemen, I'm in Milford today, but doing an appraisal. But I will tell you right now, you knew I was going to call in on that complex.
You know I love you.
All right. The complex guy, perfect. Great question. Terrific. Here's the one misconception I think people miss a lot when it comes to the appraisal. You want to reconcile the dominating characteristics. So if it's a complex, unique property, you want to hit if it's lakefront, if it's on a busy road, of course, the style, and if it has a basement. But any of the little items, I heard him mention the brick, but any of the little items, if you can't substantiate it using market data,
right,
you can't adjust for it, and it's very difficult to reconcile. So a complex, unique property, if you have a lot of unique features that are not consistent with the neighborhood, they're probably not going to get reconciled because you can't substantiate it.
Correct.
Alrighty, welcome back here. We are giving you another 15 minutes worth of the Hardcore Mortgage Show. Again, want to thank everyone. If you want to call the office, definitely get that approval letter. 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker here at the studio. 248-539-9797. We want to thank Randy Brandt for coming in from Real Team Real Estate. I got a couple listings here. We were just sort of checking them out. A couple awesome houses. You know, one of the things I did ask you just now, Randy, I want to hold a punch. I said, hey, what about that one? Why isn't it sold? And you said, you know, it ultimately becomes the price. And sometimes the seller's motivation just isn't there right now. But as an agent, you want to lead the listing up, of course. You want an opportunity to make the sale.
Yeah, absolutely. When we walk into a listing appointment, obviously we want to hear why they want to move, why they need to move, so on and so forth. Everybody has their value of their home, what they think it's worth. Excuse me. And we try to accommodate that the best we can, but we do have these things, we do market comparative analysis. So we know what it actually is going for on the current market, what's being sold around that's comparable to this home. And at the end of the day, yes, it is the seller. And, if they want to list it high, we'll definitely do everything we can and try and accommodate. But there are times when we have to have that talk of, all right, well, we need to bring it down a little bit because it's just not moving as quickly as we want.
I mentioned it recently. It seemed like somebody bought a box full of those just reduced signs because I see them on a lot of the homes that haven't sold over the summertime in a hot market. Mm-hmm. Again, typically it's an overpriced home. We talk to the professional agents out there, and they are saying that if your house has not sold in 2 months, in 3 months, if you're listing a house out there and you're trying to sell one, again, you got to open your eyes and talk to these agents. They know if they're telling you, look,
not
folks,
all of them.
That's true. Not all of them.
Okay.
There's a lot that'll walk in and I'll go, I'm all about the competition. I grew up playing sports. I'm all into it. So when somebody looks at me and goes, well, I'm meeting with 3 other agents. Yeah,
Which is a bonus.
She did play hockey.
Did play ice hockey.
And they tell you, hey, there's some people, they're getting interviewed.
I walked into one out in East Point Friday, and he said, I'm meeting with a couple other agents. Great, go for it. At the end of the day, I'm going to call you Monday, and you and I are going to sign documents because I know what I can do for you. He's got it up for sale by owner right now, which is fine. You can try it. Are you going to have qualified buyers? No, you literally have it listed on Craigslist, which is probably one of the scariest things I've heard.
Oh boy, is that a bad idea?
It's awful because now you've got random people calling.
Listen on Backpage.
Oh, no, you just went too far.
No, I didn't. Trust me.
That's Alex's mom.
Trust me.
But there's no doubt you're allowing strangers in your house.
That's not the worst thing I've said.
And especially there are a lot of people that are getting older in age that their children are trying to get them out of the house that they grew up in and moving them into condos or assisted livings. And God forbid you do put it on for sale by owner. And then you have all these random people. Like I think of my grandmother. We lost my grandfather a few years back and she lives alone for the most part. We all check in on her, but I would never have her answer the door. And we would never even put her in that position because there are unfortunately people out there that will take advantage of the elderly generations and you don't ever know what's going to happen.
I don't know. The world seems a little crazy lately. I like the idea that if you're considering selling for sale by owner, that you seriously give us a phone call and we'll set you up with some great agents because there's no doubt, just safety alone. You're inviting strangers to come to your house. You have no professional opinions how to stage your home properly. You don't have the market analysis data behind you. It's really a recipe for disaster unless you're on the super sharp side. Filling out a purchase agreement isn't all that detailed, but it can get real difficult real quick.
At the end of the day, it's a legal document.
Yeah.
So unless you have training towards it, anything can happen.
Yeah, I like that. Definitely get more professionals involved in your transaction.
How often are we staging homes? Are you guys doing it on every home?
Absolutely. Yeah. With my team, we do, we've got a professional photographer. We'll do anything we can. We usually try and get open house within the first week, get as many people through the door. We also have people that are literally just in our office that will call. We have a 38,000 person database. We call and say, hey, we just had a new listing. It's kind of within your niche. Let's go take a look.
Let's take a look at that.
So we're not just waiting for buyers to come. We actually have them within our team and what we've created.
Yeah, lots of advantages of dealing with the professionals. 248-539-9797. We'll move off to a call here. We got Jim out in Shelby Township. Good morning, Jim. What's your question?
Hi, everyone. Thank you.
Morning, sir.
Jim.
I just signed up and have a great 30-year rate at 3.25% through the VA.
Cool.
And one of the selling points to me was it's an assumable mortgage. I don't know whether that's really meaningful or not to me. I was just curious to know what your thoughts were on it down the road if I choose to sell.
You got 3.25% on a 30-year fixed?
On a VA loan.
Yes.
Thank you for your service.
Yeah, did you pay any points?
The lender picked up just about all of the VA funding fee.
Wow.
Okay.
That's an amazing deal. Why would you ever get rid of that? I would never let anyone assume that mortgage.
No, I think he's asking.
Well, look, there's no doubt.
Assuming there's a viable option, and yes, it is. I mean, I always tell the story of when my parents moved here from Pittsburgh back in '82. My mom fell in love with a house. My dad thought it was okay. Rates were what, Harry?
17%.
16, 18%. My dad found out it was an assumable mortgage at 8%. All of a sudden, he loved that home even more.
Right.
We assumed that mortgage. took on that 8%. You had to pay the difference between what the mortgage was and what they were selling it for. And all of a sudden, my dad's got an 8% rate when rates were at 16, 18%.
So, Jim, is it a simple assumption, or does the borrower have to qualify? In other words, they just sign up, ride up, and drive, or do they have to really qualify and give financial information?
Yes.
What does it say in your documents?
Oh, that's a good question. That's what I don't know the answer to.
Okay, so if you take a look at the documents or you want to shoot them over to us, I'll take a look at them for you. There are differences in assumable mortgages. Back in the old days, and I can go ahead and speak very confidently on the old days. They were, very old. Keyword is old in that sentence. There were simple assumptions where people could just sign up and assume your mortgage based on what the wording in the document said. Now there are financial qualifications.
Yeah.
There's credit, there's credit qualification. There might be income qualification, but I'd like to take a look at the documents. You might want to read them.
Look, Jim, in general, you got a great interest rate. You're not going anywhere. When you sell the house, you might just sell it outright. You'll see what the market, you'll definitely see what the market holds. But there are some liabilities that get attached with when someone else assumes your mortgage. So there's a lot of paperwork to read. But yeah, you got yourself a great mortgage, and congratulations. Good stuff.
Thank you, guys.
All righty. Have a great one.
Thank you for your service, too, sir.
539-9797. Let's move off to Eric on a cell phone. Hey, Eric, thanks for calling in. Go ahead, sir.
Hi, how you guys doing this morning?
Good morning, sir.
Well, thank you for putting this show on. It's very informative. I listen to it every week.
Awesome.
Great,
Thank you, sir.
Listening.
Guys, I had a question concerning what you mentioned earlier with when you're talking to a gentleman and rather than remortgaging his house right away, you said try making an extra $300 a month on your payments, see if you're comfortable with that. Well, I'm at the end of a 15-year mortgage, and I would like to hurry up and get it over with, so I want to add more payment onto my principal. How would I go about doing that? When I send my payment in, do I just add on money and not say anything? Do I have to?
Yep. Yeah. I mean,
don't have to.
How many years do you have left on your 15-year?
A little over 2, I believe, maybe 3, between 2 and 3.
All right, Eric, you're probably already paying all principal. I mean,
Correct.
You calling up and saying apply it all to principal is probably, pretty much a given anyways, because at the end of a 15-year fixed, all of your money is going to be going towards the principal anyways. Have you paid on a normal schedule plan from start till now?
Yes.
Okay.
Every time they say pay X amount, I paid X amount.
All right. Then what you can do is you give us a call on Monday, and we can run an amortization schedule for you. Mm-hmm. I can email that over to you and let you know, hey, here's what is, at this point in time, here's what's going towards principal, here's what's going towards interest. Odds are it's going to be a very small amount that's going towards interest, so you applying anything extra is going to go right to principal.
Yeah, so if you send $500 extra a month over the next year, that's $6,000. That should eat up your balance. Maybe over the next 2 years, it eats up $12,000.
Yeah, we can at that point we can even tell you how much you need to pay to have it paid off in a certain period of time if you have a plan to be done in 18 months or whatever it may be.
Right, and then Eric, and everybody listening out there, the way I would pay extra is I would write a separate check out.
Okay.
And you make out 2 checks. So one is going to be for your regular payment, and then the additional principal amount, if you want to add additional $300, $500, whatever that number is, you make out a separate check, and then on the notation line, please apply directly toward principal, and that's the way I would do it.
A lot of times there's an extra column on your bill.
Yeah, it actually says additional principal.
Or websites for the newer age, where you can do a principal-only payment.
You're old, too.
I'll bet Eric writes a check. You want to bet me?
Yes, I do write a check, and it's I just have a simple coupon book that doesn't have anything extra.
You are old school, man. I love it.
Eric, I love it. Me, buddy.
Eric, you can call the servicer too if you want to take a few minutes out of your day to call the servicer. Maybe sending one extra check a year, and if you're just going to go ahead and pay it off, and make sure you go ahead and they give you the instructions on how to send the extra check.
Okay.
Good luck to you, man.
Awesome. Thank you for listening, sir.
Paying off the loan, Harry.
Appreciate it, sir.
Thank you, guys. Have
you
a
got
good
it,
day.
man. Take care.
All righty, congratulations. Hey, we're excited for him. You've definitely been paying off the loan. If you ever need a mortgage or want to refinance in the future, be sure to call Capital Mortgage Funding, 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker.
Is that it?
That is it.
Oh, my God.
That is it. Randy, Brand, I don't even know where the day went. Where'd the morning go? Randy, thanks for joining us. You're awesome on the air. We'll have you back. I know you work with a lot of great new buyers out there. We urge those buyers to hurry up and call Capital Mortgage Funding. Get in touch with us to get that real approval letter. Get educated in the process. You're really good, and we'll look forward to having you back.
Thanks so much.
All righty. We got a lot of sports coming up here on 97.1 The Ticket. I believe it's Pat Caputo and everyone else. For Capital Mortgage Funding, 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker. You can find us all there all week long. Have a great day.
Hi, Harry Glantz and Danberg for Capital Mortgage Funding. We do loans everywhere. In Southfield, in Birmingham, in Royal Oak, in Groseal, in Detroit, in Canton, in Northville. No matter where you live, we want to do your mortgage too. That's Capital Mortgage Funding, 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker.